All right, it's 7 p.m. sharp. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Samuel. Good evening, Dr. Mo. Good evening, Tosin. And welcome to this month's session titled Data and Artificial Intelligence. We've been having these sessions in previous months, and I can tell you that it's been a very, very beautiful and insightful one. We've had series of speakers who have come to, teach us and impact us with their knowledge. This evening, I can promise you, is not going to be any different because the people we have as our facilitators for tonight are seasoned professionals, and I'm sure one or two, each and every one of us will take one or two things home from their experiences and the things they're going to share with us. My name is Ayotunde Baditon, and I am a data professional, and I would also be your host for tonight. With me as the facilitators is the convener, Tosin Shobukola, and Dr. Mo Medwani, who I would be introducing properly much later into the program. Without further ado, please join me as we welcome the convener, Tosin Shobukola, to give us one or two words, enlighten us on what Analytics Africa is about, a stellar program that we'll be having sometime next month, and then a bit more about what Analytics Africa is about, what we stand for, and previous next programs that we're going to be having. So, Sishobukola, over to you. Hello, Tosin, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Good evening, Tosin.
Okay, thank you. My PC chose to hang. Thank you for coming in. I won't put on my video for now. I'll put it on later in the evening, but for now, I'll just speak. Thank you for joining tonight's session. We are happy to have you around. And thank you, Dr. Mo, for coming on board to share out of the wealth of your knowledge with us. I'm not sure we're going to have a very busy house tonight because our publicity for this month was not so exciting. So, but again, good news is that we are recording it. And of course, we are going to share the recording with our participants. So, and we believe that people can easily go back there to watch the sessions later on. And we believe that everybody's going to learn a lot because it's AI conversations we are having this time. So and we have a very powerful faculty in the room. Dr. Mo is a very wonderful gentleman who is based in the US, but he's of African descent and he's passionate about sharing the knowledge for nothing. His courses are really, really highly priced in USD. He doesn't even bill in local currencies, but as much as he has his signature courses, he's still passionate about sharing this knowledge. So one of the things we are working on is to bring him to Nigeria very soon, but details of that will come later. However, today looks to be exciting. Thank you all for joining. Wonderful people from across the globe. I'm seeing some people joining from the US and a couple of other locations. So looking forward to an exciting session tonight, and I hope we all have fun. I'll be presenting, so I won't talk too much right now, but we'll come back later and let's see how we can all have fun. All the best, people.
All right. Thank you very much, Tosin, for that brief introduction. So like I said earlier, in previous editions, we've had beautiful sessions. And I'll just take a brief recap of the sessions we've had before now. So we've been following the Demystifying Data series. And in July, we had Unleashing the Power of Data Literacy. And that session was facilitated by Oluwase Bondefai Owokwe and Roberta Edu. Although Roberta Edu was not around at that time, she couldn't make it. So Tosin had to step in. In August, we had data and cybersecurity. And I must tell you, that session was a very, very impactful and insightful one. And it was facilitated by Bola Boawelewa, Somi Ochuba, and Oluseyi Ogunkeye. In September, we had FinTech Organization and Data Innovation, and that was facilitated by Princess Edo Osagi and Ifi Jide Ebelgu. Right. So this month, which is October, we're having data and artificial intelligence. And now we're going to welcome the first facilitator for tonight, Dr. Mo Medwani. He is an adjunct professor of data science and artificial intelligence at Marymount University. He is a senior data scientist at NJ Transit. He's the founder and the CEO of Innovatics. He's also a data science consultant and trainer. And just like Tosin said earlier, we're going to be so lucky to have him in Nigeria to share with us his wealth of experience and knowledge. And then he has very major skills that are so vast that I can tell you that if I begin to read them now, I probably will not finish in the next 1 hour. Also joining him to facilitate is Tosin Shobukola, who needs no introduction. It's not easy to be a convener, and I'm glad to tell you that his experience is second to none. He's a personal mentor to me he's a mentor to me as a person, and I'm sure he also mentors a lot of other people across the globe. Right, so join me with a virtual round of applause as we welcome Dr. Mo Medwani to take us through this this insightful session on data and artificial intelligence. Dr. Mo, you're very much welcome. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, can you please let me share the screen? Give me that. I need to be able to share my screen, please.
I'm sharing for you already. I'm trying to share for you already.
Yeah, I can share it. It's not, I can share it from my end. Not a problem.
Okay. Please keep talking. Please keep talking. I would
Sure.
like...
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to share my humble knowledge and experience with my African citizen. I am from Africa. I'm originally from Morocco, but I've been living in US for the last maybe 27, 28 years. And right now, I'm traveling. I'm in Morocco, traveling, doing some webinars, participating in conferences, and doing some training for the Moroccan communities. And as a matter of fact, I just a moment ago, I just participated in a conference, and I did the same presentation that I'm sharing with you. Hopefully, honestly, just to benefit from this presentation, my recommendation is to make it more than one session, because what I'm going to cover today is simply a taste of what you should know as data scientists, and there is a lot to cover. And my recommendation is to do maybe a monthly session for 5 or 6 sessions to cover everything that I think every data scientist or every person thinking about switching the gear to data science and artificial intelligence should know. So I'll be sharing my screen. Now, as mentioned earlier, Torsten is working, we are working on my trip to Nigeria. Hopefully, I'm praying for that, and I really want to go visit Nigeria and share my humble knowledge with my Nigerian brothers and sisters. So today I'm going to talk about one fundamental step that has to be done before jumping into data and before, as data scientists, of course, or data analysts, before jumping into data, there is one basic fundamental step. If it's not done correctly, who cares about the data? Who cares about whatever solution that you will be building for us? And just to warn you, I am at the coffee shop. I am not stable. You might see some latency or might hear some um, voices here and there. Please forgive me. I am not in my office. I'm traveling. I have not made it home yet. No, I arrived to Morocco 2 days ago, and I have not made it to my home yet. So I will do my best. So please forgive me. My sincerest apologies if the quality of the presentation is not at the level of your expectation. So now the topic of today is the framing the problem. Can you please confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes,
Yes.
I can see you.
So this is at the very first step that any data scientist or anyone working on analytical project, a project that you will be involving, using data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, scientific methods, algorithms, whatever you call it. So this is a very first step. If it's done correctly, most likely you will be getting something that would make sense statistically, something that would fix a problem. If you do not get it correctly, most likely you will be producing a biased output, which definitely will be misleading decision management if they were to use the biased information you'll be providing. So this is me. I am Dr. Mohamed Wani, PhD in artificial intelligence, and I'm an adjunct faculty at PhD level at Marymount University, adjunct faculty at Mercer University in New Jersey, the master level. I work for government, New Jersey Transit as chief data scientist, senior data scientist. I have four now. I have four postgraduates, three from Columbia University and one from an Indian university from India. I love studying. That is my life is all about books, studying, reading. This is how I develop myself. And they have three masters. They have an MBA. I have a master in IT, and they have a third master in data science and artificial intelligence. I have over 23 years of IT experience, 11 years solid year experience in data science and artificial intelligence. I am the founder of Innovatics, which stands for Innovation Through Analytics. I am the co-founder of Africa Analytics. It's africalytics.ai. It's not in functioning yet. And I have trained over 16,000 students so far. And I'm award winner in many conferences worldwide. I attended. This is how I met Towson Shaw. I met him in the 2022 in Dubai. And of course, I'm a public speaker. I've been participating in many conferences. And the conference that I'm attending today, yesterday and today, was an invite from this university in Morocco. They heard about me, they invited me, and this is where I am. So here is a warning to all of us. We might not be here yet, but definitely it's coming to Africa. This is a quote by Mark Cuban, is an American entrepreneur. He said, artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, whatever you are doing, if you do not understand it, then what? Learn it, learn it, because otherwise you are going to be a dinosaur within 3 years. I believe it, I've seen it, I experienced it, and actually I was a victim of artificial intelligence back in 2014. I was a victim right at the right time, the right place, and this is how I built myself. If you don't learn data science, brothers and sisters, if you don't invest in learning data science, not to get a job, at least add data science and artificial intelligence under your belt, most likely you will be struggling in finding a position in the future market. You will be a dinosaur. You will be an outdated person. That is this is the risk now. And we are really, my recommendation to everyone, in the room, and everyone would be listening to me through the recording, invest in learning data science regardless of how long it's going to take you, regardless of how much it's going to cost you. You really need to invest in learning data science and artificial intelligence, regardless of your age, regardless of your background, regardless of your position, regardless of who you think about yourself. Learn data science and prepare for something to come in the future. So here are some statistics, showing the amount of the number of jobs that we'll be losing to automation, we'll be losing to artificial intelligence. WAF predicted that 70 million jobs by last year, 2022, would be lost. PwC 2017, 38 estimated 38% of jobs will be automated. Automation means bye-bye, means they are gonna get rid of you, because once they have a process automated, so now why do I need to keep you unless you are part of that process? So McKinsey Global Institute promoted or suggested that between 400 million and 800 million jobs will be automated by the year 2023. And in 2012, Oxford Martin School predicted that 47% of the total US employment are at risk because of automation. And here is a list, incomplete list of all jobs that we will lose, will disappear manually, will disappear very soon. Manufacturing and warehousing, logistics, self-driving vehicles now are taking place in the humans. Financial services, artificial intelligence is transforming the financial industry by automating tasks like risk assessment, fraud detection. We got an algorithm that detects the type of transactions right on the fly. We don't need a human to monitor this. So if we have 10 people monitoring transactions over the clock, now we got one system that does it better than them. So they are going to, of course, they are going to get rid of at least 9, keep one. Content creation, now you got ChatGPT, you got many artificial intelligence based on generative artificial intelligence. They can do anything for you, create a website, design a video, design so many things that in the past would be require a lot of skills, a lot of dedication and motivation and time and effort to do as such. Customer service, now you got chatbot, you got one system that communicate, that chat with many people compared to one human versus one person. So instead of hiring 10 people, they can talk to the clients. Could design only one system that can talk simultaneously to 1,000 to 100,000 clients at the same time. Data analytics, ChatGPT, just load your data and ask a question. Go ahead, please, analyze this data. Boom, you got the answer right at your fingerprint. You don't need to hire a data analyst who went 4 years to get a degree in analytics, and then another 2 or 3 years to get some experience before this person can actually do a job. ChatGPT can do it in less than a second better than this qualified, very skilled person or data analyst who happen to work on a project. Healthcare now doing artificial intelligence as a part of the healthcare system, now taking some human tasks and does them better than humans. Transportation, and now we develop on the self-driving vehicles, especially in US. Taxi and ride-sharing services might eventually disappear. So these are list of just a short list of the potential jobs to be lost in the nearest future. And if you are doing any job out of this list, just be careful. You might in Africa, you might probably we are too far from losing a job. If you have a job, unfortunately, but just prepare. Whatever happens, whatever is happening now in West, most likely will affect any day in any way or another. It doesn't matter how long, just a matter of time. It's going to affect Africa. So here is a problem. Here is a real problem that I worked for. I worked for an auto insurance company, and this auto insurance, they have losing money of the fraudulent claims. They lost, for example, in 2019, $5 million, 2022, 2027, 2021, 14, 2022, 9, 2023, 7, etc. So they are losing every year million of dollars because of the fraudulent claims. And they have an investigation team, but unfortunately, because the number of claims that this company receives at the daily frequency is not fixed, is volatile, is not fixed, and as such, we don't know how many employees that we could hire, how many people we could hire to investigate manually the type of the transactions, the type of claims. So they hired me as data scientist, and of course they heard about the power of transforming, the power of embedding, adding artificial intelligence into whatever your business processes. They heard about it, so they hired me, and they wanted me to reduce the amount to design a systems, the artificial intelligence system that can reduce the amount of money lost at certain percentage during certain time period. So this is the problem. And as data scientist, or working as anyone working on this project, before thinking about your data, before thinking about the solution, before thinking about any analytical approaches, before thinking about what to do, I personally start applying what Albert Einstein said. If I was given 1 hour to save the planet, I would spend 55 minutes understanding the problem and 1 minute fixing it. And this is what we are going to do. So we got a problem here. As I said, before thinking about acquiring the data from the business, before thinking about what solution that you'll be, what approach that you'll take, what road, what venue that you apply, before thinking about going, proceeding with the case, you really need to sit down, relax a little bit, back up a little bit, and start understanding the problem. According to Albert Einstein, we have to spend 55 minutes out of 1 hour trying to get into the brain of the management and the brains of the stakeholders to understand the problem assigned to us, the way they understand this problem. And this is a very critical, fundamental step required to be done right, with the right information, with the right information gathering. Otherwise, whatever comes after it who cares about it? If you misunderstand the problem, who cares about your solution? Your solution is wrong by default. So we have to spend 59 minutes out of 1 hour. In theory, it simply means you got to spend a lot of time trying to understand the problem the way the stakeholders and the management understand the problem. So before you dive deep into understanding the problem, the another very first thing that you need to acquire from the business is establishing a team. So data science is a team sport. It happened to me back in 2017. I was hired as data scientist by a friend of mine, very excited, just graduated at the time, excited to have my first project. So my manager, we happened to be my friend, asked me a very simple question, Mr. Mo, take a look into this data and tell me how long will it take you to give me something? I scanned scanned into number of variables and number of rows, and I've told him right at the front, no, I've told him that I'll give you something by the end of the day. That's simple. Looked into the data, I underestimated the data itself, overestimated my skills, underestimated the quality of the data, the process, everything. And I promised this guy to provide him something by the end of the day. And trust me, it took me almost 3 weeks trying to understand how good the data is, where the data is coming from. I don't have anyone from the business side to help me address any concern that I had about the problem. I did not have anyone from the data side trying to help me understand get an answer to every question that I have about the data. So then I lost my job. I lost the project. Why? Because I was working on a project by myself. And in a real life scenario, you got to build your own team. If there is no team already established, then you need to educate your management about the importance of establishing an analytical team. And in that analytical team, you have to have at least 3 expertise. So this is you, technical data scientist. You could be technical data scientist or citizen data scientist. Technical data scientist is a data scientist with knowledge in programming, knowledge about statistics, algorithms, data, machine learning, deep learning, and scientific methods, knowledge and skills about the processes, knowledge about the data, knowledge about everything related to the problem. So knowledge of math, statistics, and SQL, databases, etc. So he's the person who builds, completes, conduct analytical projects from concepts all the way to completion. So, and these technical data science, they are very, very expensive. They cost companies a lot of money in US. I don't know about Africa. So once this technical data scientists build a solution, we are going to put that solution into production. And of course, you are going to be too expensive to simply monitor something that someone could have monitored with less. This is where the citizen data scientists come into the picture. Citizen data scientist is someone who knows what technical data scientist knows, but he does not build a solution from scratch. He only monitor, maintain, monitor, update the solution that the technical data scientists already established or built and already been deployed into production. So this is one, we are going to need a data scientist. Number two, we are going to need someone who knows the business better. Sometimes it's called domain expert. Sometimes it's called business expert. Sometimes it's called legal expert. Whatever you call him or her, you are going to need someone who knows the business better than you, someone who can definitely address any concern, any doubt, any question you might have about the business problem. Then, of course, we are going to need someone from the data side, someone who knows the data better. They know where the data, how the data has been collected, how the data has been stored, who is using the data, the type of the data, the structure, the size, the type. So they know anything, everything. And they have data dictionaries, they have the metadata, they have answers to all your data questions. So this is number three. So we are going to need you who come with an extensive experience in machine learning, deep learning, processing, whatever you call it. It's a hard process. Then we got someone from the business side, someone who understands the business better. Then we got someone from the data side, that data side. And of course, if you are planning, if you know that whatever you are working on requires implementation into production, then you are going to need to acquire from the business a developer. Your business is to build solutions. It's not your business to deploy the solution into production. Of course, some companies that might use you to do both, but in my experience, I only deliver solutions. How they transform them into production, that is not my business. But yet, I have to be part of the equation. I have to be part of the picture to help translate, transform whatever I've been working on for the last 6 months. We have to transform it into an object that we can deploy into production. So it is totally impossible to be working on a project for 6 months and provide the information to someone who just joined your team last few hours and try to translate, explain what you have doing in the last 6 months in 2 or 3 minutes, or even 5 hours, or even 20 hours, and you expect this person to do the job that you expect him to do. It's totally impossible. So don't wait. If you know that the solution that you are working on requires the implementation into production, then you might need to acquire from the business a developer who can help you to implement, deploy the solution that you've been working on for the last 6 months, implement it into production. So this is a team sport. If you don't have this team already established, then you have to educate the hiring manager about the importance of establishing an analytical team. Otherwise, you are wasting my time and your time, and you will end up losing your job. So when you are thinking about the problem, of course, before you are still now in the process of understanding this problem, process of gathering the requirement, process of transforming the problem statement into quantifiable analytical statement, then you need to think about the methodology. What would be your methodology for conducting the analytical in a project from the concept all the way to the completion? So you need to think about the macro methodology. And there are many methodologies. Methodology is simply a process that you could use to monitor the flow of the work from the concept all the way to completion. Deliverables somewhere in the middle. You got the start date, end date. You know what to give, what to deliver, when and how. This is all. This could be monitored, could be managed through applying a methodology. So there are a few methodologies. Scientific research is one. Operational research is two. waterfall, SEMA. There are many, many methodologies, but the most common methodology is called CRISP-DM, which stands for Cross Industry Standard Processing for Data Mining. And this CRISP-DM is phases. Is phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There are 6 phases, but actually there are 7 phases, and we'll talk about them shortly. So you have to think about what method that you will be using to manage the project, manage the progress of the project, manage the flow, manage the resources, manage the time, manage the budget, manage the work itself. So we will be using for any analytical project, my recommendation is to apply CRISP-DM. Of course, there are other better solutions. Agile is one of them. You don't have to be a slave to CRISP-DM, but CRISP-DM approved to be the best practice for conducting any analytical project. So that is the micro methodologies. Once you determine the macro methodologies, then you need to think about the micro. What are you planning to do? What is your end goals? Are you simply trying to explore the data given to you, explore the problem, study the problem, and provide insight? In this case, you don't need any machine learning. All what you need is some statistics, knowing the mean, median mode, knowing the variance, covariance, standard deviation, hypothesis testing, very basic ANOVA, MANOVA, etc. That does not require any machine learning, does not require any Python. You could use Excel to do that. Or are you planning to build solutions that are dependent on the data? Means you have to have a data. And here we are talking about machine learning. And machine learning, as you might already know of, there are different, maybe as far as I know, more than 25 type of machine learning, but the most type we know is supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, quasi-supervised, reinforcement, and this is the most common ones, but of course there are more than that. So this machine learning requires data to work, otherwise machine learning is not going to help you. Or are you planning to build solutions that is not independent on the data? And here are some of the tools that you could be using. And exploratory data analysis will be using basic statistics, MANOVA, ANOVA, hypothesis testing, experimental design, basic statistics, linear programming. If you are using solutions that are dependent on the data, we need general linear models, factor analysis, clustering analysis, regression, classification, graph method. This is all machine learning, and of course, deep learning. NLP is a part of it. Or are we planning to build solutions that are independent, no need to data? This is where reinforcement learning comes into the picture. So here is the CRISP-DM. Its phase, it starts with business understanding, then data understanding, then data preparation, data modeling. At this point of time, you always have a right to go back and fix something that could be fixed. Otherwise, once you pass evaluation, it might be too late to fix something. Or if there is a possibility you can fix it, it could be very expensive to fix. So we got the modeling. You are going to build as many models as possible. And at the end of the day, we are going to pick only one model with the highest performance, better performance. If then that is the model that we need to improve through optimization and parameters tuning. And finally, if everything goes green, it's time to deploy the solution into production. In business understanding, you will be working with your domain expert, your legal expert, and your business expert. In the data understanding, you will be working with your data expert. In data preparation, data modeling, and evaluation, it's just you. In the deployment, you will be working with your developer. And of course, citizen data scientist comes just after the deployment to monitor the progress, monitor the performance, update, investigate, shut down, shut off, shut on and off, the models based on the performance. So this is the crisp DM, and its look back means you can always go back and fix something that should be fixed. Imagine that we are in the modeling and we did everything possible that we could do, and we are not happy with the performance of the so many algorithms that we apply. So I know for sure there is nothing wrong with algorithms. They have been tested, studied mathematically. They are correct, statistically they are sound. So something that could have done stupid, about your data. So we might need to go back and maybe check the processing, whatever we did. Then if the data preparation processing sounds good, they are correct, then we might need to go back and maybe check the data itself. Maybe the data we have wrong data. Maybe go back. Maybe we actually have wrong understanding about the problem itself. So always you can go back if you got them to the bottleneck where you cannot do anything. You might go back and see if there is something that you could have done better. So here is what I do on a daily basis as data scientist. I start with business understanding, of course, with the help of business expert, legal expert, and domain expert. The very first thing after establishing the team, after gathering some requirement in the process of understanding the problem, is number one, understand the objectives. Number two, we need to frame the problem itself. We need to transform and translate the problem statement into quantifiable analytical statement. We need to define how the business would measure your work. Don't work, in a project. At the end of the day, you deliver it, and you think that because your accuracy is 99%, you thought that, yeah, this is a great algorithm. But if that algorithm does not meet the business criterion, the business measurement, the business rules, the business needs, of course, who cares about 150% accurate model? Who cares? The accuracy here means nothing to the business if the model does not provide information to fix a business problem better. So in the business understanding, you need to identify the unit of analysis. What exactly are you trying to do? What are you trying to understand? What are you trying to analyze? In the case of our insurance, that they are losing too much money because of the fraudulent claims, of course, with the help of my team, we could analyze the clients. This is one direction. We could analyze claims. This is another direction. We could analyze payments. That is another direction. We could analyze policies. We could analyze processes. There are so many things that we could analyze. And that something is what we call unit of analysis. You got to specify what are you trying to analyze. And within that specific thing, then you need to determine what are you trying to understand better. In our case, for the project problem statement I shared with you, which is about helping a business, an auto insurance company that loses money because of the fraudulent claims, is we are gonna investigate, study the claims, and we need to investigate if a claim would be a legitimate or would be fraudulent. And if we have this piece of information ahead of time, we have solved the problem. Okay, then you need to think about the approach. What would be your approach? Is it going to be predictive, diagnostic, descriptive? prescriptive, optimization, simulation. What is your approach? Of course, there are some techniques that we are going to learn later to determine the best approach right on the fly. You need to have a deployment plan. Unfortunately, 75% to 85% of the analytical claim fail in terms of never made it to production, because either we messed up the beginning, we misunderstood the data, we misunderstood the problem, we misunderstood the data, or we could simply apply a wrong transformation method, or everything was done perfect except that we were not ready yet for the implementation. We got a solution, but it requires 300 servers. We only have one, so we don't have an established infrastructure that can support whatever solution that we design. So 75% to 85% of the project fail in terms of they never made it to production, either because you did not prepare well from the beginning, or you were not ready, you did not prepare the solution for the ending. So that is phase number one. And of course, you need to build a strong relationship with stakeholders. Stakeholders are the group of people who have interest in the problem, so they will guide you through. They will provide some feedbacks that they will correct you if you are deviating from the track, if you are not working in the right question. They can help you. That's why it is really, you need to establish a strong relationship with them. There is one book that I recommend. It's called Keep Up with Quants. And book, the author comes with a list of questions that you need to get a yes answer from the stakeholders. The author says if you don't get any, there are 6 questions, and I will share that with you later. The author says if you don't get a yes answer to these 6 questions, you are in trouble from the early beginning of your analytical project. So once the business understanding is done, then now we are going to acquire the data from the business. And of course, with the help of the data expert, we are going to collect the data. Then we are going to read the data to whatever tool that we will be using, reading data to Jupyter Notebook, to RStudio, or to RapidMiner, to Salesforce PriceMiner, to BigML, to just name a tool, either an open source or licensed. You need to read the data. And once you read the data, then you need to spend time understanding the quality of your data through applying exploratory data analysis, applying data visualization, visualizing the relationships, the correlation, the categorical data, the numerical data, time series data, applying some statistical analysis, and at the end, documenting everything, anything that we learned about our data in terms of the quality. And this is what we are going to be using later as a roadmap to the third phase. And that is, sorry guys, that is the data preparation. In data preparation, we need to deal with duplicates, deal with missing values, because missing values has many options to use. Depends on some criterions, the size of the missing values, the power, the influence of these missing values. So you cannot delete them. You could impute them with the mean, with the mode, with variance. You could simply replace them by an unknown. There are so many things, but you got to determine the type of missing values, the influence of the missing values, the size of the missing values before you determine what to do. So you need to deal with missing values. You need to deal with outliers. We need to deal with the converting categorical data to numerical data. And before you convert categorical data, you need to find what type of categorical data you have. Is it nominal or ordinal? Because transformation, nominal, ordinal transformation method do not apply to nominal categorical data. Then you need to transform your numerical data. If it's skewed to the right, left, you need to normalize it. You need to normalize, factorize, binarize, standardize, apply some correlation analysis, aggregate, mean, decompose your data into component. If you are working in time series, decompose your data into the trend, the seasonality, cyclical irregularity based of this is the time series data. And the most important steps that should requires a lot of cautious and attention is feature engineering and feature selections. And at the end, we are going to end up having a better version of the data, better than the version we started with. Here's the raw data. We are going to use now data, better version. And this is the version that we are going to use into modeling. In the modeling, we already determined the analytical approach from the beginning. We knew that we will be using classification or regression. We knew we'll be using time series. We should have a knowledge of how to determine the right analytic approach right at your fingerprint. Of course, we are going to split the data to let the model learn. We scale sometimes if you are using algebraic numerical algorithms. We need to scale our data. We need to determine the dummy model. We need to initiate a model, train a model on a part of our data to predict or test the model and the other part, and of course, evaluate, assess, and at the end of the day, we are going to keep only one model or whatever number of models there will be building. And this one model, there's always rooms for optimization, for improvement through model selection, optimization, and parameters tuning. So at the end of the day, we are going to have the best model with the best parameters. And this is exactly what we are going to use for deployment. And the business is waiting for return of investment based on the measurement already identified at the early stage of the project. So, so this is a lot of talk. Unfortunately, I have to stop here because of other obligations, but I will be more than happy to conduct another session at any time, anytime soon. It does not have to be in a month. It could be over the weekends. I don't have problem with that to finish the presentation and also present on other topics related to data, related to modeling, related to pre-processing, implementation, whatever topic that interests you. So I gotta stop here. Yeah, this is a very, few slides, but unfortunately, I gotta stop here. And let me open the floor to see if you guys have any question or any doubt or any concern.
Wow, thank you so very, very much, Dr. Momedwani.
Yeah,
That was a
welcome.
very, very beautiful and impactful and insightful session.
Yeah, welcome.
At this point, I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions, please signify by the raise of hand. Any questions, please signify by the raise of hand. Okay. Whilst people are probably preparing for their questions, I'd like to ask, so we understand the fact that there's an increasing demand for AI talent, right? So how can businesses and educational institutions collaborate to create effective AI training and development programs to bridge the skill gap? I don't know if you got the question,
Yes,
Mr.
I
Mo.
do. I cannot speak about Africa, unfortunately, but in US, they already the businesses they already know um, they know, or they feel, or they are actually experiencing the need of having a skilled people who can dive deep into their data, torture it enough to find some insight that they could be used to make a better decisions. So, and as such, they are supporting universities to provide such skill, skilled people by through sponsoring, through different programs like internships, like internships, like free programs. So the uh, the relationship between academia and industry already been established in US because there is a need. There is a need. The uh, the schools, universities, they need sponsors, and businesses they need skilled people that could be in return could be provided through completing of programs that be sponsored by the business. In Africa, including my country, Morocco, unfortunately, we are still, as far as I know, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I cannot speak about Nigeria or any other countries, but I can speak about Morocco. And even about Morocco, I could be wrong because I've been out of the country for almost 28, 20, 27, 28 years. So, but in general, we are falling behind. There is a very gap between the academia and the industry. They don't talk, they don't collaborate. They could collaborate, but the not at the level of expectation.
Okay. Thank you very much for that
There we come.
response. Okay, so I'd like us to quickly do something. Can we give a resounding virtual round of applause to Miss Dr. Mo Medwani? Please, you can just say thank you in the chat box. Thank you in the
There
chat
we go.
box, or just give a virtual round of applause. And please don't forget, as Tosi said earlier, we're going to have a session with Dr. Mohamed Wani next month. It's a 3-day event, and I
Anytime.
can.
It does not have to be. It does not have to be next month. It could be tomorrow.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't have any
okay,
problem.
okay. So
But I am
so he has.
open. Yes, I'm open to conduct a workshop for 8 hours. I'm open to provide more lectures. I am from a community. I belong to a community. I have to give back to the community. I'm an
Mm,
African. I have my responsibility as an educated person is to give something back to Africa. It's
beautiful.
free. I don't ask for anything in return. Even I don't want you to thank me. This is my
Mm,
responsibility. You don't have to thank me. So I'm open. Please,
this is
schedule
beautiful.
as many sessions as you want. And this is my LinkedIn. If you are working on a project, you need help about related to, of
Great.
course, artificial intelligence. Please connect with me, communicate with me. I will be more than happy to assist you with whatever you're struggling with.
Great. So we have it. So he has given us the go ahead and the liberty to connect with him on projects
Sure,
if we have any questions, and is also open to workshops, to lectures, to tutoring, to mentorship.
sure.
And I can tell you, Dr. Mo, I'll personally reach out to you though.
Sure, yes. Hopefully, pray for it. Hopefully, I will get a visa to come visit Nigeria. We got a problem. I applied for the visa in the last minute, and it takes in Atlanta, Georgia. It takes almost 10 to 15 days to get the visa, and I
Okay.
applied for it for the last 7 days, and it didn't work out. So I am now in Morocco trying to apply for the visa from the Nigerian consulate. Hopefully, they will issue one. I already got documents I needed. So if that
Okay.
is the case, then we are going to have a chance to meet in person,
Okay.
enjoy
And I
some
look forward to
Nigerian
that.
food. What is the most famous Nigerian place?
Uh, I think it's jollof rice because we've been having
Jollof
this
rice.
back
Okay,
and
so
forth about
enjoy.
jollof
So
rice, Nigerian
whatever
jollof rice.
whatever
But I'm
menu.
very sure,
Yeah.
you'd enjoy our dishes.
Sure, yes.
I look
I
forward
love
to
I love
having
visiting.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Yeah,
Dr.
we
Mo.
come.
Thank you very
Okay,
much, Dr.
everybody.
Mo.
Unfortunately, I gotta go. My sincerest apologies if about the environment, but unfortunately, that is the way it is. Okay,
Thank you very
everyone.
much, Dr. Mo.
Thank
It's
you.
good
Bye
to
bye.
have you around.
Same here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, so we move forward very swiftly. And our next facilitator, who is Joseph Shobukola, and is who also is the convener for Analytics Africa, with a vast and wealthy, let me use that word, wealth of experience and knowledge. He's worked in various companies, best companies in Nigeria, best companies in Africa, best companies in the world. Please join me as I welcome Tosin Shobukola to take us through the topic leveraging AI to drive innovation. Can we please give him a virtual round of applause as he comes on to take us through leveraging AI to drive innovation? Thank you. Over to you, Tosin.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Tosin.
Good evening,
Good evening,
everyone. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Good evening.
1 second. Let me reshare my screen. Something is going on here. Yeah. Good evening again, everyone. Can you hear me? All right. Beautiful.
Good evening.
Thanks for joining our session tonight. I believe you've had a wonderful experience with Dr. Mo. You don't get to speak with people like that every day. And people who are passionate about sharing knowledge and passionate about giving all the knowledge they have for free or next to nothing. I must say that when you have people like Dr. Mo in the room, it's an exciting opportunity for you to develop yourself and get all the impacts and benefits that you can get from them. He's asking that he wants to teach for free. And let me tell you give you an idea of what that free value he wants to give equates to. His average programs go for nothing less than $1,000. If he chooses to discount them, he does that for us he does that averagely for maybe $800. Now, in Nigeria of today, you can do your quick math. What does that come to? So that means his trainings don't go for less than ₦1,000,000. So if somebody who trains for ₦1,000,000 is coming to teach you and say, oh, I'm happy to teach you for free, I think we shouldn't take that for granted. Right. Okay. So without further ado, we'll come back to the details later. I will just go straight into my presentation. Okay. I believe you can also see my screen. I'll appreciate if you can give me an affirmation, if you can see my screen. It's difficult to be the presenter and also the moderator here. Yeah, I'm looking for messages that we can see your screen. Thank you, Jim. Okay. All right. So the conversation we're having today is on artificial intelligence and innovation. I really would have loved to go through all the journey, but I'll try to make this very short. We are going to make the slides available in future. And if I'm not looking into the camera, it's because I'm juggling multiple screens here. So, but I'm 500% with you. Now, when we talk about artificial intelligence and innovation, I believe it feels like we're talking about a sci-fi movie where everything is going to become automated. We're going to start seeing if you watch a lot of Hollywood movies, you would have an idea of what I'm saying, where everything is going to be, you see jumping cars, flying cars, drones, and then smart buildings and all those kind of stuff. around you. Well, I would not deny that this is where we are going, but I would also like to say that it's not going to be as bizarre as it sounds. So you can already see sensors, messages flying all over. The whole thing is congested. Yes, it's good. It's going to be like this, but not exactly as this picture paints it. But I just wanted to challenge your thinking by putting in this picture so that we can have a very good start. I won't spend time on the next slides because of time. So we have a lot of statistics about how AI holds the prospect of the future, or how it's telling us all the nice things that are going to happen, and how people are beginning to see that, oh, there are opportunities. But in the midst of all the opportunities, there are also threats. And of course, people are saying a lot of stuff, but one thing we need to know, and I always tell people that, see, whether you like it or not, destruction is going to happen. And based on research, it's happening currently at a pace of about 37%. So when you are seeing things happening at the rate of about 37%, that is rapid acceleration. That is a lot of rapid acceleration. And it's something you don't want to joke with. What does this imply? It means that at some point, a lot of AI-driven technology is going to come into place. Today, we already see innovation by software. When I say innovation by software, most of the things we do on our devices, most of the platforms that we use, you can see how Gmail works, you can see how your iPhone or your Android phone works, you can see all those nice stuff. You can see how your applications, your banking applications work and all those nice stuff. But I would dare say that most of all those things that you are seeing are just pure programming. I know a lot of people, when they want to sound funky, they use a lot of buzzwords, or that we infuse that artificial intelligence into the solution and it's done all this magic. I promise you, 79, 80% of those stuff are not AI. They are just if else. I mean, if you're technical enough, you know what it means if else in a programming language. We have not really begun to see those AI things, but it's happening quickly and it's happening fast. Now, the implication of this, like I always tell people, is that your job is not going to be taken by AI. No, your job is not going to be taken by AI. But guess what? Somebody using AI is going to take your job. And we've begun to see those kind of things happening acceleratedly. Last week, I stumbled on it, not last week, this week, I stumbled on a document that allows me to automatically generate 30 social media posts with graphics, with logos, with everything. And I can do that in 15 minutes. So when I can use a platform to generate things that I want to, the content I want to write. I can use another platform to design the graphic work. And then automatically, there are schedulers and everything that I can use. And before you know it, I already have 30, 45 graphic artifacts that I can post on my social media page. What's the implication of that? My social media manager just lost his job. My graphic artist also just lost his job. I've been playing a lot with Canva in the past few days. I left it for a long time, but I got back to it, and I never really wanted to pay for Canva Premium. But when I saw how much Canva is going to save me, I decided to pay for Canva Premium. You can just imagine what $99 is, but if you are spending up to $200 monthly or more on paying graphics people to do some work for you, and then by just spending an extra 30 minutes or 2 hours every week or 1 hour every week, you get everything done your way, your style with Canva, then you will understand what I'm talking about. So, like I said, AI is not going to take your job, but somebody using AI is going to take your job. And somebody using innovation driven by AI is going to take your job. So whatever you're doing, if you're not using tech, you're in the Stone Age. If you're using tech and you're not using AI, you're not in the Stone Age, but the flood is going to take you away. So you need to wake up. All right, I'm not going to teach you the definition. This is just here for reference purposes. And then, so let's quickly just run into it. Let's quickly run into it. Like I said, AI has become a catalyst for driving innovation. It's changing the way we do business. It's helping us to learn from patterns. And that AI itself is making autonomous decisions. Technologies are developed every day. Solutions that look like fiction are happening. Driverless cars. In Africa, we don't have driverless cars. But in California, Silicon Valley area, we have driverless cars. In some campuses in the US, we have driverless cars. We have companies that are running on this. We have Waymo. We have all those kind of intelligent companies doing a lot of driverless stuff. Today, we have Tesla. All we knew before was that Tesla was a car that runs us on batteries. But we also know that it's an intelligent car. So imagine when you have a PC, you can have a PC for 5 years and you're consistently upgrading the version of the software you're using. Now, tires are not going to change. Steering wheels are not going to change. But imagine that you have a car that you're upgrading the software every time. Every time. So your car is almost always new. Oh, before, imagine you could not play Spotify on your car before, but there's now a new update in the car, and then you just need to plug in one tiny $50 device, and automatically your car begins to play Spotify. Automatically your car begins to allow you to watch YouTube and do a lot of things that you could not do before. So that is where we are today, and it's beginning to happen and consistently happening fast. Okay, so we'll quickly look at the evolution. I'm not going to spend so much time here because we are behind. We have the time where AI started in those days. Alan Turing, John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, and all those wonderful inventors and innovators that we had. If you studied computer science, you would remember that you did a lot of these things. Oh, neural networks. Oh, all those things sounded like far stuff, things that are happening in MIT labs, things that are happening in Carnegie Mellon University, and all those complicated stuff. And it kept advancing. But as time went on, we began to see things around deep learning, natural language processing, speech recognition, computer vision, and everything. I'll give a very good example. When I'm chatting with people, a couple of people sometimes they don't like to type because they don't like to type. So they try to write voice notes. And if you are working with me or chatting with me and you're dropping a voice note, I'm even going to tell you I'm not going to listen to this voice note. And for me, it's simple. If you send me a 2-minute voice note, you're putting me on hold for 2 minutes. You're tying me down for 2 minutes. I have to listen to everything in that voice note to get what you're saying. If you're sending me a 5-minute voice note, you're tying me down for 5 minutes. And then in future, I cannot go and reference what you told me. I cannot go and reread it. I don't know which voice note has it. So I don't like voice notes. Unless I'm really tired. I even try not to send voice notes. But what I tell people is that I understand that you cannot be typing forever. If you are using a real solid keyboard, like a Google keyboard, a SwiftKey keyboard, I don't use iPhones, but I believe they have something similar. There's a microphone on that device. And as a West African with our heavy accent, with our strong highs and lows in our accent, you can speak into that microphone and it's going to recognize all the things that you have said and turn it to text. So you, the talker, you can talk, and I, the reader, I can read. I remember in 2007, 2010, or around that period, where we first had the voice feature in Microsoft Office. It was a big celebration, but unfortunately, not many people could use it. Very few people could use it. However, fast forward to 10, 13 years later, there is a dictate feature in your Microsoft Word. You can dictate a lot of things. So if you want to, remember in those days, big men, if you are my age, plus or minus 2-3 years, we used to have what we call shorthand business studies in the school, in secondary school. And big men used to have secretaries. And they used to tell them their mind. So when they are telling them their mind, send a message to this person, write a mail to this person, so that the person who is taking notes can write fast. They used to have what we call shorthand. Very, very funny stuff. But they used to have shorthand so that they dictate messages to their secretary, and then the secretary would now go on the typewriter and go and type it. Now, many secretaries have lost their job because we don't need somebody to type our messages for us anymore. For you to have a secretary today in 2023 all over the world, you must be very, very, very senior. Maybe in the ministries here, but all over the world, you must be extremely senior to have a secretary attached to you because you don't need anybody to type for you. And if you are lazy typing, you can dictate your mails, natural language processing. And it happens for the Chinese who have, or the Asians who have strange accents. It happens for the Africans who also have strange accents. And these are the things that we are beginning to see across the world. So what are the things that we've seen today across healthcare, across finance? I chose finance to write it because if I say banking, you say what of fintech? If I say fintech, we'll go all over the way. So I just said in finance, which is banking, fintech, e-commerce, payments, whatever it is, in sports, in entertainment, in agriculture, in manufacturing, and all those kind of places, we begin to see all sorts of innovation happening for us and to us. And it's something that there's nothing we can do about it. It just makes life better. In sports, for example, we begin to see things like VAR. For those of you who watch football, in those days, the best they really could do was record the video and maybe transmit it live so that we can watch. But now, we have sensors all over the field. So before it was just video transmission, but now we have sensors. Did the ball bounce? Did he touch it? And you can replay what you just showed a few minutes ago because you can easily call it from another from the hard drive. That's what we're talking about here. In entertainment, you have Spotify or you have YouTube. If you watch a video on Beyonce or Mr. Beast or a religious video, the next thing you're going to see is that your whole feed is going to be full of all the religious videos in the world. So it's customized. My own feed is different from your own feed. And what you watch is different from what I watch. And if we even like the same kind of stuff, let's say we both like religious stuff, but you have your preference in terms of the people you listen to, and I have my preference in terms of the people I listen to, I'm not going to see your kind of people. You are not going to see my kind of people either. But we both love sports. Or let's talk about shopping, Amazon. If you buy specific kind of items and I buy specific kind of items, we are going to see different stuff, recommendation engines, and all those kind of stuff. We're going to see that very shortly. So a lot of stuff has changed. A lot of stuff is still changing, and we are seeing a lot of innovation. All right, this is a little bit academic. I'm going to skip it. We have types of AI, but all these things, so when we talk about AI does not just happen by magic. AI does not just happen out of the blues. AI has some fundamental concepts that it sits upon. Are you with me? It has some fundamental concepts that we sit upon. I could choose to go through the history or the generations of AI. I think I will just add that into the system, into the presentation before I do the final share. Where we now have, is it what they call natural, something general AI? I can't remember. It's here, general AI, but I can't remember the full name. And it is under that category that we begin to have generative AI and all those smart stuff that we are seeing today. So we have the narrow AI, which is when a particular platform can perform various tasks, e.g., your personal assistant. Alexa, what's the weather like? Alexa, send me a reminder tomorrow. Alexa, play me Pirates of the Caribbean. And Alexa goes to find it from wherever. You don't know what version Alexa is playing. Alexa just does the job. Those are the kind of things we begin to see. How does Amazon know what you want to buy? Why should Amazon remember that you bought this item in 2015, 7 years ago? It's almost beginning to behave like a human. Just imagine yourself going to Walmart, Epiano, or ShopRite to buy something. And then, of course, the guy at the counter knows you because you're an old customer. Oh, okay, customer. Now, the system is recognizing you as a customer. What else do you want? And then we also have things like machine learning. Machine learning that allows systems to learn and make decisions. Like I mentioned, a lot of people claim that what they do is AI, but most of it is just if else, if then else. If you click this, then this will happen. If it says yes, then do this. But machine learning is about learning what we have not done, learning what we are still doing, learning from historical processes, learning what is going on. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on. And then performing tasks to say, hey, if you are able to get this information based on what I know, based on what I've seen, based on what I have on the data here, I think this is what we should do. I use this example. They would typically say civil servants are the best candidates for loans, with all due respect to civil servants. Why do they give civil servants loans, for those of you who work in banks? Because people don't resign from the civil service. And more often than not, the government never owes people. They always pay salaries. So since you are working with the government, there's nowhere you're running to. You're not likely to resign until you're 16, you're going to retire there. And government will now owe salary. So you have a consistent flow of income. You're not resigning. We give you the loan. But shortly before COVID, and of course in Nigeria, for example, we saw government workers being owed salaries, 6 months, 1 year, and so on and so forth. So which begins to tell us that if we are basing our algorithm on things like, oh, government workers don't resign, government workers always get paid salaries, we are going to be in problem because we're going to have a default. But the machine learning stuff will say, yes, that is the path we have, but we have scenarios, and it's going to bring up all those things for us. So those are the benefits we begin to have from machine learning. It's not just default stuff, it's real-time information. It will tell you that, oh, yes, they don't, but we have scenarios where this didn't happen. And I can go on and on, but those are classic examples. Natural language, I've told you what it is. Computer vision, yes, we think about computer vision in terms of things like HoloLens and all those other stuff. But imagine that if you go look at the technology behind autonomous driving, which is self-driving, the camera or the engine inside the car has been taught to identify stuff. It has been taught it's filled with a lot of sensors. So when you see a zebra crossing and you see a human-like object on it, you need to stop. That's what a camera has gotten the vision and is translating the vision, very similar to the way your eyes work. If you are driving and you see somebody coming at you at a very high speed, your brain tells you to move to the right or move to the left, avoid the oncoming vehicle, those kind of stuff. So we are beginning to see those kind of systems being put into cars, being put into engines, being put into machines, and all those kind of stuff based on what they see, and they are consistently learning. Okay. If you have learned anything thus far, can I see you post 1 or 2 things? Or if I'm too boring or if I'm going very fast, just let me know whether you are there or not. Seems everyone has gone to bed. Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Jumoke. Anyone else? Seems only John and Jumoke are not sleeping. Okay, Lolade, thank you. Oh, Lolade, nice to see you. How are you doing, Lolade? All right, so what are the applications of AI? I picked just some simple scenarios. I think I just picked about 4, which we can easily expand. One of them is in healthcare, e.g. personalized medicine, e.g. predictive analytics, e.g. disease identification, drug discovery. if you have watched this series on Netflix called The Good Doctor, it's an exciting and very, very wonderful series that you need to go and watch. Now, if you look at the way one of the characters, that guy, he has is it autistic? Yes, he's autistic, but he's to complement his autism, he has a photographic memory. So, doctors learn a lot of stuff about anatomy and how things happen. So sometimes when the normal people who are seeming to be okay are able to, they are thinking about the normal things. Because this guy's memory is photographic and he learns a lot of, that means he'll be watching a lot of videos, he'll be looking at a lot of body parts, you will understand the flow of blood. For you if you're an engineer or if you are a programmer, just imagine your software. When you understand how a software works and you're thinking about troubleshooting and things like that, convert that to how blood flows through your body to the heart and all those kind of stuff. Now, when people think, oh, this is the problem that is wrong with the guy, because he has a photographic memory, suddenly begins to see the veins, the arteries, or the bones, or the heart, or the way things are pumping. And then he says, I don't agree with what you say. Of course, because he's autistic, he says it in a very funny way. Even though you people say he's going to be okay, I think that the way his leg is doing, he is not moving his feet. And his temperature has been rising for the past 45 seconds, which means numb feet, rising temperature, is going to have a cardiac arrest in 30 seconds. And boom, in less than 30 seconds, the guy suddenly begins to have a heart attack. Why am I saying this? Imagine if all the things that we learned as a doctor was put into a system, and then we begin to ask that system questions. Look at what we are going through with ChatGPT today, where you ask ChatGPT the most unlikely stuff, and it comes back with accurate, concise, comprehensive information for you. Now, imagine if that is in medicine, what we can begin to get. Or imagine if we can step that up a notch and we begin to see imagery, anatomy, transplant procedures, and all those kind of stuff. And we're beginning to see that which means now we can now have more accurate prediction. There's a lot of people that die because of the wrong prediction. There's a lot of people that fall sick or just a lot of things go wrong because we assumed humans are not perfect. Doctors try, but they are not perfect. Sometimes they have inaccurate prescriptions or recommendations because they are human. Or sometimes you go to 4 doctors before you finally get a doctor that tells you what exactly is wrong with you. And it's not because the other 3 guys were bad. It's only just because this 4th guy knows that you have done 1 AB from Dr. 1, 2 ABC from Dr. 2, 3 ABCD from Dr. 3, and they did not work. So he's in a better position to now tell you what might work, and then it works. So imagine that instead of you having to go through 3, 4, 5, 6 doctors to now get a solution, all that is happening on the system. These are some of the things that we're talking about here. Another one is in finance. Like I mentioned, fraud detection. You cannot use my card in Victoria Island, and 2 hours later, that same card is being used in London. How? Even if you flew, it would take at least 5 hours. The system is now intelligent enough to tell you this is a fraud. Of course, you can use it on a Nigerian website. Now, look at the difference. You can use it on a Nigerian website, let's say quickteller.com. And in the next 10 minutes, you can use it on amazon.co.uk. It will not block you. That's intelligent enough. But you cannot use it on physical terminals in those 2 same locations within that time space. It's going to block you because it knows it's a fraud. Intelligence. These are the kind of things that we are seeing. Recommendations. If you are stock trading, if you are doing a lot of strategic stuff, a buy or no buy, a historical, imagine that you want to buy the Microsoft stock tomorrow, or you want to buy Apple stock tomorrow, and you want to say, what was the performance of the stock over the past 5 years? And then it gives you an analysis. And then it tells you the highs, the lows. Why was the stock price low on so-so-so date in so-so-so year? Why did it fall? And it begins to give you this. And so what do people usually buy when there is an economic downturn? If you were putting that in a Google form or search, you know how much work is going to take you. So these are the kind of things you need to do. Now look at what I said with respect to the loans. Typically, they look at 4 or 5 criteria, they give you a loan. But now the games have changed. The games have changed. Because if before, what you just needed to do was to be a civil servant and you get a loan, now they're going to ask you for more and more questions. Today, in the world of digital marketing, all these kind of things, people are resigning from being civil servants and they are starting their own businesses. A lot of things are going wrong that people are dumping civil service work. So we can never again say that civil servants don't retire, civil servants always get paid. Things have changed, times have changed. You will not remember as an individual because you want to meet your loan target. But the system is going to tell you that I don't think this is correct. So look at those kind of scenarios that we're talking about here. Some other scenarios are in manufacturing and automation. I'm not going to bore you with that, but imagine where we are now able to tell that if you've ever driven a European car or very more recent cars, these cars are able to tell you when your car is going to be due for servicing. For the normal cars, you typically just know that, oh, I serviced this today. Today is the 4th of July. By the 4th of October, my car is due for servicing. That is typically what we do because it's 3 months or 5,000. We expect. But your cars are now very intelligent. They tell you the exact month that you're going to do your car. They tell you when they feel your tires will have worn out. They tell you when they feel you should do this. If you go into your car, so you have the dates for change, which means you can predict what is going to happen to your car. If it's about quality control, if it's about supply chain optimization, if you are doing strategy, you want to do Black Friday sales, and Black Friday happens, then you have Cyber Monday, then you have Christmas, then you have Thanksgiving, then you have New Year. How do we optimize our production so that we can meet demand and not have excess packaging and make sure that people get their stuff the same day? For people in the US, they know what they go through when it's these periods I just mentioned, or when Jumia or Konga in Nigeria is doing their sales. You know how much problematic it is. Now, but if they had stuff that was providing them insights, it would be a much better journey. We have a lot of chatbots today giving us customer service information, telling us what to do. Now, we don't always have to call customer service and say, if you want this, press 1, if you want this, press 2. Sometimes, some of us know what we want. We just need clarity. So we don't need to call before we get the answer. By just chatting with the bot, it tells you what you need. And in a scenario where you don't have all the necessary stuff, it then chooses to connect you to somebody. Number 1, it means we can now chat and get our results. Number 2, it means we save our call credits. Number 3, it means we don't waste time waiting for somebody to tell us stuff. And a lot of other things that we can do. Today, with intelligence here, I can now begin to segment my customers. I can begin to say, okay, these customers have bought for me before. The message I'm going to send to them is different from the message I'm going to send to people who are just hearing about my business for the first time. Or these guys have been on my list for the past 15 years and they have not bought a thing from me. How do I approach them? We have platforms that are well designed. They've built funnels. They've built all these things that allow you to identify these classes of customers. Okay. So what kind of innovations do we begin to see in AI? I'm going to rush through this because time is fast spent. Later on, we're going to share the slides, which you can read through. It allows us to be more efficient, and it allows us to do our work faster. Are you aware that you can go to, we have a lot of content creation software these days. We have a lot of research optimization software. Now, I remember commenting on a post on LinkedIn that a lady was saying, instead of people blocking ChatGPT from universities, they need to step the bar higher because ChatGPT is coming and it's not going. So if you say we are blocking our network from ChatGPT, that's okay, block it. But when the student gets home, he's still going to use it. So how do you discover that ChatGPT was not the one that wrote the whole term paper for the student? There are innovative ways to still get it from the students. So how are we going to do that? Those are the things we need to be thinking about. How do we use data to make decisions? For those of you who are in data analysis, dashboards, and all that, what kind of insights can we get using artificial intelligence tools? When I say AI now, it's not just AI. When I'm leveraging things like machine learning, when I'm leveraging things like machine learning, natural language processing, generative AI, and all those kind of things. How can I help my decision making? So whenever people talk about AI, don't just think about it like AI, oh, AI. No. What are the components I can leverage? What are the components I can capitalize on? What are the components I can use? And then, of course, user experiences, it goes without saying. What are the other things that we can do? Cybersecurity. People like Amaka will tell you they are able to know if this request is a good request or is a bad request. It's more than just saying you put in the wrong password 5 times, we lock him out. Fine. When we lock him out, he can come back again and try. What are the things that we can do? Supply chain management. Imagine you go to the shop on Christmas Day and food has finished, or things are finished because they did not project very well. Yeah, rule of thumb projection can happen, but what if we have a change? Imagine how we can tweak our supply chain, or how we can optimize our supply chain or deliveries all over the world when this happens. And if you think supply chain is a small thing, remember that countries like Singapore, countries like the United Arab Emirates, their economies are powerfully driven because they have massive seaports. So when we talk of supply chain, don't just think of Jumia and Konga and Amazon. Even Amazon, for example, today has its own delivery platform. In the whole world today, we have the big guys in delivery, DHL, even though I don't like them, FedEx and everything. All over the world today, they tell you that if you want to get something from a particular place to a particular point in time, guaranteed, just use DHL. All the other ones will get it there, but maybe not, maybe. That is the impact of, so imagine that you need to send a document across the world and it has to be physically sent. Or you need to buy an equipment and you need to send it ASAP. What is DHL doing that they are beating the rest of the world and they're able to get it right on time? Or imagine a seaport. Imagine a seaport in Singapore that has 10,000 containers every day. And those 10,000 containers need to go all the way from Southeast Asia to the US or to Africa or to Europe. How do they navigate all that? Or a Jebel Ali port in Dubai. You know, Dubai is right in the middle of Asia and Africa. And of course, so you cannot get to Europe without passing through that axis. How do they do it and make sure that everybody gets what they need? And if things are manufactured in the US, how do they get to the other side of the world? When you're talking of supply chain management, that is how big the problem can be. So if I have a container that is processing 10,000, a terminal port that is processing 10,000 containers every day, or I run a logistics company that is delivering to 50,000 to 3,000 locations in the world every day, what can I do to use AI? Those are the kind of things that we are talking about here, not just the basic, simple, or even let's take it down. Let's bring it down. Today, fuel is expensive. So they are telling people that if you are sending anything or buying anything and you are living in VI, if you can wait for 4 days, you'll get a 50% discount in the shipping thing. Somebody is using natural intelligence to do that, to say, I can batch send my VI products in 1 day. Now, imagine that somebody now scaling that up, somebody scaling that up, somebody scaling that up for a small business or for a regional business or for a local business. So these are the kind of things that we're talking about here. Any questions before we now jump into case studies? No questions. I continue. Okay, so what are some of the case studies that we've seen in the large companies? In places, there's almost no AI conversation that goes on without people not talking about IBM Watson. But in this scenario, IBM Watson is being used for data analysis in health, which means it begins to analyze what you have and what is going to happen to it. So people can say, oh, you have this disease, or that person has that disease. Imagine if they are telling you that, typically for people like cancer patients, there are cancer patients that can survive and there are cancer patients that may not survive. Or there's a decision they need to make such that, oh, this hand or this bone is having this issue. So we may need to cut it off. But now that we have in-depth insight into what we are having, typically we just know the bone is bad, the blood is bad, or there's a cancer cell. But because we now have data, we're able to now break it down into percentage. Let me give you what I'm saying. What is the time? Past 5. What is the time? 10 past 5. 10 past 5 is far different from 25 past 5. There is a whole lot you can achieve in 15 minutes. So if it's a cancer case or it's a damaged bone case or a damaged cell or whatever, when we now have accurate representation of what that problem is, we are able to take decisions. If it's a deep level problem, then we know maybe it could be terminal. If it is not so deep, if it has not gone too far, maybe we can do some things, or maybe we can walk through alternatives. Oh, the bone is shattered. At what point can we remove part of the bone and replace it with titanium? Or at what point can it be cancer, but we can remove the organ that is affected and find a way around it? Those kind of conversations. And more personalized treatment plans, which means it's not everybody that has cancer that is going to die. We are beginning to see a lot of people coming out to claim that they are cancer survivors. And this is not just because there's the work of God, there's the work that God is doing with people, but there's also the work that accurate, in-depth insight is helping people to achieve. I mentioned earlier on about your recommendation systems. So if I bought blue shoes on Amazon, Amazon will probably recommend to me from the same buyer that I bought from or the same provider. If I'm comfortable wearing shoes that cost $150, rarely will Amazon be introducing me to shoes that cost $25. It has an idea of my range. Or if I'm used to spending and buying from specific brands, it will not just give me those random brands that look good, but they don't have an owner or they are made in one far eastern country. It's going to give that one to me that applies. If I'm a sport fitness person and the things I do are around that area, it's also going to recommend all those kind of stuff for me. These are the places that we're getting to around this stuff. Fraud detection, I've spoken about it. People are able to analyze transactions. For example, people are now allowing Nigerians, even though Nigeria has a great fraud profile, a lot of platforms are allowing Nigeria to do business. Why? Because they know that Nigeria has 200 million people, so you cannot really lose from that market. But they also have a fraud detection system behind what they are doing. So there's already, once it is from Nigeria, there are already things that they are checking for you. They already know that we have things like two-factor authentication. They already know that you can do a call, you can take a picture, you can scan your ID. When you scan your ID, it's not all the time that somebody is manually checking that ID. Sometimes the ID picture is being connected with the facial picture that you take by a machine. So they're allowing us to do more transactions. For those of you who are on social media, digital marketers, there's a lot of stuff that they do. Sometimes your ad is approved, sometimes your ad is blocked. Why? Because they check a couple of things. In manufacturing, we have robots that are able to do stuff. Now, robots are a combination of what? Vision processing, machine learning, and all those kind of stuff put into one entity. So that robot is not just a robot. That robot is a computer that is connected to a database and that is leveraging all the information in that database that has been machine learned, and then using the peripheral vision that we have given and autonomous information. That is why a robot can assemble a whole car. Different, but you also know that at each point, a robot is doing almost a specific thing because he has learned what to do So if a robot is at table 7, it knows what to do because of machine learned information, as opposed to the robot that is at table 5 or segment 5 of the manufacturing process. Customer service, we already have info stuff like Google Assistant. Imagine me now, what we have now from large language models and ChatGPT kind of systems is that I can upload my whole customer service database, or I can upload our whole knowledge book base and allow a chatbot to connect to that base. So if you are in banking, for example, or manufacturing, for example, or research, for example, we can upload an archive of white papers, research documents, and put it into a system, and then we can have machine learning combined with a bot begin to crawl that information. And then you can begin to say, who are the researchers of autonomous systems and healthcare in this university? And because it has crawled the system, it has learned the system, it's going to bring out all that information for you. We can achieve that with programming, yes, but it cannot be as comprehensive as when we are now having a bot. A program is fixed to get some kind of information, but a bot or artificially intelligent system is going to be able to do it in a different way. Okay, so we are almost done. I'm going to look at now case studies in other places that are not so popular. So like I said, we have AI digital marketing, whereby you can target the kind of people you want to sell. Let's start from basic advertising. How do we advertise in the past, or how did we advertise in the past? 2 or 3 major options. You put it on a billboard on a highway. So you know that 10,000 people pass this highway every day. By God's grace or in faith, since 10,000 people pass this highway every day, they will see it and we hope they will buy. And because they are passing that way every day to their office, to their church, to their house, to their business, they are leveraging the repetitive installation of knowledge or information into them. And then at some point, they're able to buy. We put it on news. People watch news. And because it's news or prime time, they are going to sit down and watch news. And because they are seeing it every day before news, they are probably likely to make a decision. Vote for this person. You put it on the news time. Buy this thing. You put it there. Same thing on radio. Or, people are going to watch Champions League. So you buy an advertisement on Champions League. Super Bowl in the US, for you to get an ad on Super Bowl in the US, it's crazily expensive. It's crazily expensive because the people know that half of the US, or almost everybody in the US, is watching that event. So if you are going to advertise on that slot, you better get your box right. But guess what? I don't need to have $1 million to advertise anymore today. I can use with $50, I can advertise, and I can get the exact kind of people, the exact age, the exact location that I want. And I can convert my $50 to $1,000 with the right advertisement strategy. That is what we get with AI. In agriculture, we can begin to monitor crops. We can begin to see where crops are having problems. Imagine with a drone, where you go with your drone and take pictures of the crops. That means if it's a farm that is just one plot, yes, you can be checking your crops one by one. But imagine a whole street or 5 streets, one farm, or a whole town, one farm. How long are you going to spend doing that? I remember being in class in July with a lady who is a vet doctor, and she's trying to use cameras and AI to check the issues that cows have. By monitoring them, by checking a lot of things, you get real time. So this is another application of autonomous vision. So it's not only for cars, you can also use it for agric. So which means when my drone goes out on the morning run, I don't even need to wake my drone up. My drone knows where it stays. There's a schedule on my drone, and my drone goes out to scan the land. Maybe there are 5 of them. They come back real time. They are sending information back home, and something is processing that information that they sent in real time. And almost immediately, in less than 24 hours, I know whether a pest has taken over my farm. I can use it for security. I can use it for a lot of stuff. For example, I don't want to use this, but a war is going on in the Middle East axis. How does Israel know when a missile is fired and they're able to counteract that missile? So it means that when a missile is fired from the other side, Israel has a system that catches that a missile has been fired and is coming towards them. And they go meet that missile in the air, they terminate it so that it doesn't land in the area. They call it the Iron Dome or something like that. But the missile could have been fired from that same place going in another direction. Israel would not react if it was not coming to them, but some level of intelligence has been put into that system for them to, for security purposes. This is more than radar. It's more than radar. There's also what we call LiDAR, which is light something, I can't remember offhand, but it's something similar to radar, but it uses visual intelligence and some other level of intelligence to catch stuff to be done. We also have AI for learning. I mentioned a scenario earlier on where you can put documents in a base and people can now question that base with a bot. Imagine your WAEC past questions or your ICANN past questions. Imagine them in a database. And then you don't have to read everything. Any question that comes into your head, you don't even need to go to Google. Just say, checking geography. What is the difference between longitude and latitude? And because all that information is there, you don't care whether the past question came in 2024 or it came in 1975. You just need the answer and it pulls it out for you. And so many other things. Or you are a learner. I have built a software that people can use to learn programs or something. And then the software tells Tokwe that this course, you can take it and finish it in 5 days. But with the test, it tells you that this course, you need to spend 3 weeks to take the test because of your level. Same course, same content, different journey. Another one where we do, okay, I'm not going to talk about e-commerce again because it's similar to Amazon, which we've covered. Now, the last set of case studies is about support, which we've spoken to initially, where people can get support for all inquiries that they need, and also for HR. Imagine the number of times that the number of policies you have in your HR system, the amount of things that you need to know what is going on. Oh, there's a policy on compensation. If you've worked in a multinational, there are so many policies. The way people who sell are compensated is different from the way people who are technical. And the way people who are technical are compensated is different from the way who are in the legal department are compensated. Or what is the policy for healthcare in the US? It's different from the policy for healthcare in the Middle East. It's also different from the policy for healthcare in Africa. And you can go on and on and on and on and on. And people usually don't read. Or employee onboarding. If you have gotten a new job, you know how you have to wait for HR to do a lot of things for you. Half of those things that HR are doing manually, and they are kings and queens. I don't hate HR, but again, half of their job is going to go to this kind of system. Again, AI is not taking the work from HR, but an HR person that does not know how to leverage AI might have to go to the farm, in quotes. So I can go on and on and on, and I've taken a lot of your time. We've spent 2 hours tonight, but I think I'll just stop at this point, and then I'll take any questions. I'm not going to talk about merchandising and financial services. We've spoken about most of them. I'll just stop at this point and take your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tosin, for that insightful session. Do we have anyone with questions? Anyone with questions? All right. Okay. So whilst we're preparing, let me just ask this. So with the increasing adoption of AI, what ethical considerations, or let me say ethical and societal considerations, should innovators and organizations keep in mind when developing their AI-based solution? Now, we understand the fact that what applies in Nigeria, for example, might not apply in Dubai. I'm using that example because you mentioned it. So, what ethical and societal considerations should innovators and organizations keep in mind when developing and implementing AI-based solutions?
Okay. The question you're asking is a very, very, it's sensitive and but it's not also complicated. There are some principles all over the world that should apply globally. Now, the classification or the nomenclature may vary according to location. And what do I mean? So in terms of personal data, in Europe, for example, we have the GDPR. In the UK, we have the British DPR or something like that. And then in the US, they have something similar. In Nigeria, we just called it the NDPR. What does that tell you? There is need for data protection. Now, by territory is different. It's just like the same way to say, what is the ethical way for human beings to behave? All over the world, when there's a divorce case, it's always big news. And people usually say, either in Europe or US or anything. All over the world, people wear clothes. All over the world, when a person is not properly dressed, is a big issue. So the same thing all over the world, AI needs to be ethically used. AI needs to be ethically applied. AI needs to be properly implemented. Which brings me to two topics that I'm working on passionately. In a few weeks, I will push out some content on responsible AI, and then the flip side of responsible AI is AI for good. A lot of the fears around AI today are, what if people are not using AI for good? And my response to that is, just like I said, if you're not using AI, AI is not going to take your job, but somebody using AI is going to take your job. The same way, if you have a heart to do good, but you're not using AI, the bad guy is using AI and he's still going to get you. So guess what? Use AI, but just make sure you're using it for the right purposes. So HR, for example, can use AI and mess up people's data or get information about them and display it in the wrong places. AI will help HR, but is HR using that data well? Or is HR selling employees' data so that they can be used by a presidential campaign organization to advertise to them so that they can vote their customer, their candidates? That's unethical. Or will a database administrator take data and sell it to an advertising company, knowing that in this organization we earn well? So sell it to somebody so that they can pitch high net worth products to them. Unethical. Those kind of things. So AI is a good thing, but data should be used responsibly and it should be used for good. The principles all over the world are the same. If you are collecting my data, should you use it to sell to me, or should you sell my data to another person? Remember the Cambridge Analytica stuff. If you were too young, go and watch it on YouTube, or just Google it, Cambridge Analytica Facebook. Those are one of the reasons why Facebook at some point eventually had to change their name from Facebook to Meta, because a lot of scandals about data management. In fact, half of the issues that Facebook has was around ethics on data. How did you manage the data? How did you protect the data? How was your data? People said Facebook allowed people to use their data for election manipulation. People allowed them to sell their data. So if you just go and watch that Facebook, just look at Facebook data scandals, Cambridge Analytica, Russian interference in US elections, and all those. At the end of the day, they needed to rebrand their name technically. So those are some of the things that happen when you don't use data the right way, or when AI is improperly applied. And also, if you don't apply it the wrong way, the right way, you will not get the right results for your business. So if you're a bank, your machine learning models are wrong, it means that you're going to be making wrong projections. It means that you're going to be advertising to your customers the wrong information. So imagine you're a bank, a recession is coming, you have not done the proper research, you give your customers the wrong projections. What is going to happen to them? Customer service. We are not curating our data properly. People are asking us questions. We have not ensured to test what AI has told us. AI is smart, but humans are still smarter. And AI is what you get, giving is what you get. What you give is what you get. So Do you test the things that your data is telling you? When it gives you facts, do you cross-check those facts, that those facts are actually correct? So a lot of things around that. I think I'll stop there. Any other questions?
All right. Thank you very much, Tosin. Any other questions from the house, please? Our time is fast spent.
Okay, I'm seeing a question from Samuel Oyedopo saying that, what advice can you give a data analyst who wants to explore data science and artificial intelligence? Well, everything in career starts with learning and positioning. I don't know what you do. I don't know what your antecedents are, but it starts with learning. So, and don't learn the hard things. One of the things you need to do is to learn to know yourself. I would assume that if you're already considering machine learning and data and all this, you're probably left-brained, which means you're not afraid of calculations and you're not afraid of charts and graphs and all this kind of stuff, which means you can try. But again, I think there are two major levels of left brain. You have the people who are left-brained, who are closer to the middle, and then you have the extreme left-brained people who are able to take on very complicated stuff. Those are the guys that you see in engineering. And then the mildly left-brained guys who are calculated, analytical, but they were not as crazy as the other guys, as the guys that you see in science. So when you first of all start by analyzing your personality, it allows you to know who you are and what you want to be. I am left-brained, but I don't like statistics. I am left-brained, but I don't like mathematics, not mathematics in the sense of, what do you call it now? Basic stuff. I'm good in math. I had an A1 in mathematics, SSC, but I love algebra. I hate calculus. I know myself. So you will not catch me being a data scientist. I chose not to become a data scientist because I know it was math and I don't like math. And I'm not ready to try and learn how to write software for maths that I don't like. So I didn't bother. That is me. But that said, once you are able to identify who you are, I'll assume you're extremely intelligent. So you're probably even the next Einstein that is going to come. So please go for it. Once you identify who you are, then it comes with your learning journey. Your learning journey can be short, it can be long. I'm working to get a couple of people who are going to be able to train us. Again, Analytics Africa does not intend to own any training program. We are just the hub where people can come, learn, and network and grow. Right. So some people, for data analytics, all they need to know is how to do charts, graph, and speak English, Excel level, Power BI level. For some people, they want to go a little bit deeper, database level, analytics level, and whatever level that they think is good for them. And then for some people, they want to go in all the way, machine learning, data science, big data, and a couple of things. So whatever you want to do, I'll say try to learn. Good news is when you begin to learn, you will see the one that works for you, and then you can begin to chart your journey. Like I said, good news is you can go on YouTube. We have beautiful programs on YouTube that are free. Today, if you want to learn data science, there are people like Simply Learn, Edureka, that have 10 hours, 12 hours of video content for free on LinkedIn. So before you go and invest in one $200, $500, $800 course because of the name, I say you should spend some time on YouTube, learn some of those things, and then get the tools that they are recommending and practice. And the reason is this. A lot of people think, oh, the name is sexy, the name is funky, let me go for it. We have a lot of Nigerian students in the UK today who were sold courses around business analytics and everything. And then they got to the UK, paid millions of naira, and the business analytics course is not what they sold to them. It is crazy software programming, Hadoop, big data, machine learning, statistics stuff. So imagine paying 10 million naira for a course that you don't understand. So that begins another journey of struggle. So what I would recommend to you is that before you invest into something that you're not sure of, even though I believe you're the next Einstein, decide on your level of capability, go onto YouTube, you have introduction to machine learning, When you want to pick what you want to watch, click on the filter and it will show you videos that are longer than 20 minutes. Once you pick videos that are longer than 20 minutes, you're able to see all those things that you want to see, and then you can decide on which one you want to follow. Once you've watched the videos, once you've practiced the tools, I think the next thing you just need to do is to now touch up your CV. Don't tell lies. Talk about your capability. Put it out there. Put it on LinkedIn. Comment. Go for the necessary networking events, maybe like the one we'll be holding very soon, and all those kind of things. And then things will begin to fall in place. I hope that was a good response to your question, Sam.
Thank you very much, Tosin. That was you did so much justice to that question. All right. I don't know if there are any other questions. Our time is far spent. Any other questions from the audience, please? All right. In the event that there are no more questions, I would like to ask Tosin to come back and, just give us a um, brief summary of the things to expect, also officially announce the forthcoming meetup for next month. Tosin, over to you.
All right. Thanks, Ayo. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. It's been a very long evening, but I believe you've gotten full value for your attendance. One thing we are going to start doing now is we are going to send you a recap of all the previous events we've had since July. We have already started collating. I hope before the end of next week, they should be done. You should get a report of today's event by Monday, all things being equal, and subsequent event updates will happen. We'll send them to you. Last month, I mentioned that if we had people who wanted to be mentored to have a 90-minute conversation with me, they can come online and have it. And I gave two conditions. Unfortunately, many people just jumped into my DM. I started asking, oh yeah, I'm ready for mentorship, but you did not do the homework. So this project has a prerequisite, and it's a very simple prerequisite that doesn't cost you anything. Follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram. I gave one other prerequisite, but I won't bother you with that. Just follow us. And just follow us. In the form, I'm going to ask you for evidence that you're following us. I'm going to create a form. Every month, we're going to take 5 people for free mentorship, 90 minutes of my time. I'm going to speak to a couple of friends to see if they can spare you 90 minutes of their own time also. And then everybody is able to give some mentorship. Again, mentorship is not about, what do you call it now? It's not about schooling or have you eaten? Did you sleep? What did you eat last night? Where are you going? No, it's not about monitoring or parenting. Mentorship is just guidance and coaching. Go and do this, go and do that, go and take this, go and do all that. So once you are done, you have a chart, a course, a path to follow, and you'll be able to do that. So don't bother to DM me. I will send you a mail talking about the mentorship thing. We'll have a form that will take it. Our system is structured whereby once we have 5 applicants for the month, it's taken. So the next set of people that will be able to apply will be in the next month. If I see that I have time in December, I can increase it to 10, probably towards that Christmas period. But for the month of November, I will be able to take 5. If I'm chanced for the rest of October, maybe I can take, I'm not sure yet. But let's see how it goes for the month of October. But we're going to put that out there. You get a mail from that, but you need to be following us. And if there are any other conditions the team decides we should include, we'll send it to you in a separate mail. So please make sure our mails don't go to your spam. Make sure you're following us, and then you'll get the mentorship one. The second one is the one about Dr. Mo. We don't want to give an official announcement because we need to be sure that he can make it into Nigeria. We are planning to train about 300 Nigerians on data science fundamentals in the middle of November. And that's Dr. Mo we are intending to bring him in. But it's not so easy to come into Nigeria sometimes because we are 200 million people. And if we allow people to come into Nigeria anyhow, all our neighbors will just come into Nigeria and finish all our food for us. So, and the food that is not even enough for 200 million people. So even though Nigeria seems so unserious, so relaxed, our immigration rules are very, very tight. And it's not because we are not coordinated, it's just because we're already plenty. It's just the same way it's very difficult to become an American because America has 350 million. So if you allow just anybody to come into the country, it's a problem. So same thing for Nigeria. So we hope we can get in Dr. Mo. We are going to have 300 Nigerians being trained on data analytics. It's going to be somewhere on the mainland in Lagos. There will be no virtual class. It's going to be physical. So you have to bring your 2K legs into the class. You have to do some Python work. You have to do some coding work. You have to do a whole lot of stuff. So work with us. And if you have anybody that works in immigration that can make our lives faster, yes, you can DM me for that. Or just send us a mail at contact@Analytics Africa. And we'll be happy to work with you to make it happen faster. So that is one of the things we are doing. I'm working also with some special trainings in January, but let's see how that goes. Our next event in November will happen, Meetup will happen in the last week because we're going to have a busy week in the third week. So we are going to have a fourth week. So we'll have it in the last week. That will be on the 29th or the 30th of November. Let's see how that goes. We'll get the details. I think in the absence of that, we are happy to call it a day. We are happy to call it a day. Thank you, everyone. Ayo, do you have any comments? Otherwise, you can close the shop for tonight. Thank you, everyone.
No comments from me. No comment.
Okay. So in the absence of any other thing, happy to have you around today. Feel free to reach out to us. You have our email addresses. You have our contact details. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Good night.